Hi, this is Mrs. Wiederhold. Welcome to my lesson video on complex numbers. Now let's get started. First, let's look at some math vocabulary. What is a complex number? Well, a complex number is any number that can be written in the form of a plus bi, where a and b are real numbers and I is the imaginary unit. Well, now let's look at what an imaginary number is. An imaginary number is the square root of negative real numbers. Some examples of this are the square root of negative 16, the square root of negative 49, and the square root of negative 25. Now pause this video while you think of other square roots of negative numbers. Now let's look at the letter I. Well, this letter represents the square root of negative 1. So therefore, I equals the square root of negative 1. And that means that I squared equals negative 1. Now let's look at an example. We know that the square root of 16 equals 4. So the square root of negative 16 would be equal to the square root of 16 times the square root of negative 1. Well, the square root of 16 is 4, and the square root of negative 1 is I. So the answer to this would be 4i, and this is considered to be an imaginary number. Now let's look at how we do operations with complex numbers. First, we will look at addition. We are adding two binomials. The first one is 3 plus 4i, and then we're going to add to that the binomial of 6 minus 9i. Now addition is very simple. And it doesn't require many steps. You literally just combine the like terms. So if I look, I've got the number 3, and that like term would be the number 6. So I'm just saying 3 plus 6, which is 9. So I'm just going to write 9. And now I'm ready to combine the like terms of 4i and minus 9i. So 4, again, just as we would with variables like x, y, or z, we can add the coefficients, and the I just goes along with it. So I would have 4 minus 9, which is negative 5. So that means 4i minus 9i is negative 5i. So I write minus 5i. And we are done. That's what it takes to do addition with complex numbers. Now let's look at subtraction. Here we have the binomial 3 plus 4i, and we are going to subtract from that binomial 6 minus 9i. Now with subtraction, there is going to be one extra step. Because we are subtracting the second binomial from the first, what we're going to do is we are going to rewrite this expression, but we're going to take into consideration this minus sign. So it's going to look like this. 3 plus 4i, and this will always be true. You do not have to change what is in the first binomial. But because we're subtracting the second binomial, we really need to write this as, this is minus a positive 6. So I could rewrite minus a positive 6 by simply saying minus 6. And because I'm also subtracting a negative 9i, well, if you subtract a negative, that's the same as adding. So I can rewrite that as plus 9i. And now we are ready to combine our like terms. So again, let's see, here I have 3 minus 6. So 3 minus 6 is negative 3. And then I have positive 4i plus 9i, and 4 plus 9 is 16. So I can write 4 plus 9 is 13, so I can write plus 13i. And that's our answer. Excuse me, I moved the screen there. Our answer is negative 3 plus 13i. Now let's look at our final example, which will be how to multiply complex numbers. We are going to use 3 plus 4i times 6 minus 9i. We can use the same method as if we were multiplying two binomials that had variables as x. Okay, so we're just going to use the FOIL method. So here I have 3 times 6. I'm multiplying my first terms. 3 times 6 is 18. Now I'm going to multiply my outer terms, which would be 3 times negative 9i. So that would be 3 times negative 9 is negative 27, so minus 27i. Now I can multiply my inner or inward terms, which would be positive 4i times positive 6, and that will be positive or plus 24i. And now I'm ready to multiply my last terms, which is positive 4i times negative 9i. Well, positive 4 times negative 9 is negative 36, so I'm going to write minus 36. And I times I, if you remember back to where we did the notes on the first page there, I times I is going to be I squared. Now we are ready to combine like terms and simplify. Now right now I'm not going to change 18, so I'm going to bring 18 down, but I can combine my like terms of negative 27i plus 24i, and that would be negative 3i, so I'm going to write minus 3i. And now I'm moving to the last term. It's negative 36i squared. Well, minus 36, that part I'm going to leave the same, but I squared is equal to negative 1. So I'm going to change I squared to negative 1. So now I have another step. I am going to say, okay, I have 18 minus 3i, but what is negative 36 times negative 1? Well, that would be positive 36, so I put plus 36. Now I have one final step, and that is going to be again to combine my new like terms, which is 18 and 36. So 18 plus 36 is 54. So I'm going to write 54 minus 3i. And so there you go. That's our answer. Now I don't know if you noticed this, but in each example I used the same terms. I just did different operations. In the first example, we added the two terms. The second example, we subtracted the two terms, and in the third example, we multiplied the two terms. So just to let you see that using the same terms but with different operations, you see how different the answers are for each. I hope this lesson video has helped you, and I look forward to working with you again soon. Bye-bye.